What is up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Few Podcast, where Alex and I are going to dig into the latest, Web3 news, take some hot takes on the industry, talk about what's been going on this week. And number one, it's bull season, baby. We back. So the energy is palpable. People are building shit again. They're degenning into speculative assets, and it's a lot of fun. So let's jump right in and get going. What's going on with you guys? How's the week?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. Too much stuff. Everything's great, like in terms of the market. Just like sort of been heads down, and we're about to come out of being heads down, and it's just a lot. There's a lot to do before. Whenever you know this, whenever you have like product launches or anything, there's like a million things come out 11th hour that you're just like, I don't know.
Oh, we didn't talk about, which is not on here, but we should talk about before we can get started. I want to hear about the copium stuff a little bit. Like, where are we now? What's going on?
No, I mean, definitely they fucked up a lot. It was. Listen, I mean, it was a pretty rough. So the thing that upsets me the most is that the launch was great. It's very hard to launch a token. The launch was great, and then because typically what happens is like you've got a when you launch a token, right? You've got, depending on how you do it, you've got like botters, and then you also have people adding liquidity. And so the rough part of it, they got past. The place they messed up was the rewards part of it. So specifically like a display issue. I mean, this is how they described it to me, like a display issue with what people were winning things they couldn't win. So the sad thing is, like, it was supposed to be really attractive like rewards, and they were just gonna like eat it, right? Because you do that to like promote it in the beginning. But they messed up and it was impossible to fulfill. And so once they try to figure out what to do when something becomes impossible to fulfill, is they first came up with a solution. Hold on a second. They first came up.
Yeah, sorry, go.
No, so they first came up with a solution, and then the feedback publicly immediately was like, just also offer a refund. Like, you should just give people an option.
So I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, no, but the thing is like you're still giving that refund, which is funny. Like, only like 20% of people took it. The better deal, at least on paper to start, was to take the amount per, because it was essentially like $5. Actually, I don't know what ends up being the best result, but because it really depended on how bad the token's down super bad, but but you're also still eligible for the raffles. And then so if you won raffles and you got the token and you could sell the token, the problem is they just had to unlock a lot more token than they anticipated to do at this early stage. So just like, when you're unlocking a billion token out of 69 billion tokens, with something that has like 900K of liquidity, that liquidity is going to go really quick. So they're in a spot right now where it's like they've lost the trust. So the question is, like, how do you gain it back? And I don't think you can gain that back. So my recommendation to them, and what they've been working on, is once they do I think they still have one or two of the they did all the refunds, but now they're giving out people individually the stuff. Once that's done, the next thing they need to do is build a fully on-chain game. And the reason why fully on-chain game is, if people don't trust you, right? If people don't trust you to do rewards because you fucked up like once or twice already, then the only way to do it is make it on-chain that they don't need to trust you.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, well, definitely that's the way. Well, that's the way it should be in general when you're dealing with this type of stuff. But so my recommendation to them was just to do that, and then so they're working on it basically. So I'm learning like Singapore laws. So in Singapore, like, raffles are legal, and the way you actually do it is you ask. You basically have to ask a question. So imagine like you enter a raffle, right? And you put in $100, right? And you and 100 people put in $100, and someone's going to win all that money. The only way to legally, the way to legally do it in Singapore is A, first you don't call it a raffle, and then B, and again, also I'm not a lawyer, so like talk to a Singaporean lawyer. This is not financial advice. This is what I was told secondhand on how it works in Singapore. But you ask a question, and that question could be there's no answer for it. Like it could be right or wrong. You'd be like, what time of day do you shower, right? Or what time is the best time of day to shower, morning or at night? Or like, is mint chocolate chip ice cream good? And they're like, yes or no. Doesn't matter what the answer is, but you get a sort of ticket or something as your reward for answering, you know, the one way or the other. And then the winner of that money goes to someone in the ticket. So that's apparently how legally you could do it. So anyway, the game that they're at least right now proposing to do is essentially it's like number of like slots and amount of money. So think about it this way. Imagine like 20 people and we all put in one soul. And then the person's gonna walk, or one out of 20 of those slots is gonna walk away with all of the soul, right? Like, and then they take a small piece. So you do like soul plus the token, and then it's basically just like a raffle. And you could just run those. You could do like small stakes, you could do medium stakes, bigger stakes. And then the idea there is probabilistically, you know, you probably have enough degens that say, all right, 20 slots, everyone's putting in a soul. Someone's going to walk away with, you know, if a soul's $100, let's just make it easy. Someone's going to walk away with, you know, $2,000, right? Then you're like, okay, if it's $100 each, if I put in 10 slots, can I take $1,000 and turn it to $2,000? Like, you know, there's enough degens that think that way. And also like mathematically.
Listen, the reality is for as far as meme coins go, it's been a much more ambitious meme coin than most. So like, I think your advice is right. Like when you lose trust, which again, you know, the point of the blockchain space is ideally to avoid having to be trusted and to put things on chain transparently as much as possible. I think the best solution forward is exactly what you said. Come up with a game mechanic that can facilitate the objectives that they wanted for the ecosystem, which is a coping degen like casino like experience, and make sure that the results and that the rewards are distributed on chain, so everything's transparent. And then like that is a reasonable push. It's a reasonable next step. And then if that works, you can also build other games on top of that on chain infrastructure.
Yeah, but my advice was to them like, don't ever consider making off-chain games again, because you've lost that. And like even if it's a great on-chain game, it still might be tough. But at least I think that could be the saving grace. You know, it's hard enough to get out the door, but once you lose trust, it's difficult. So you gotta. I think that's the only strength to play on right now. So we'll see what happens. They said it would take about a week or two to get live. So, you know, I think that's what I'm hoping.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Bitcoin. Let's talk Bitcoin. So
I know you love your Bitcoins.
Love Bitcoin, baby. So you guys know I've been accumulating. I'm always in accumulation mode on the Bitcoin side of things. But like, to me, it's not just about Bitcoin anymore. I think it's far beyond. Like, I think, well, obviously the ETF came in, and to me that was like the most obvious. Like, everyone's like, sell the news. But like, guys, the news is not just news here. It's an actual avalanche of capital coming in to buy your Bitcoins. Like, that's not just a sell the news event. So like, to me, that was obviously a ridiculous strategy that people were saying. But
everything's pumped, man. I mean, ETH just hit 2,800.
Yeah,
28.
But let's just like,
we're going to $3,000. And by the way, SEI Beanie's obsession, it's about to hit a buck.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I think people are missing in the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin's layer 2 ecosystem, I think, is going to be one of the more attractive investment opportunities coming up. I've been doing really well on Stacks, and I think Stacks has not even scratched the surface yet.
Have you bought ordinals? Have you bought any ordinals? Have you played?
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a couple, but not much. Like, to me, that's not. To me that was what it was like the red pill or blue pill moment for people to realize that you could do something more on Bitcoin. And that's what like the ordinals and inscriptions kind of inspired, is like, we can start to build on top of Bitcoin. And I think like the layer 2 ecosystem with there's there's Lightning, there's obviously Stacks. There's two others of the big four. I'm forgetting the names as right now. Block Sprout, I think, is one of them. You guys feel free to drop them in the comments. But the layer 2 ecosystem is super, super fascinating. If you guys have been seeing, what's it called? Stacks has been flying. There's also the major DeFi infrastructure, Alex. I have token on there. I've been staking it on there. They're building a whole bunch of really interesting stuff. And the big thing to be aware of, guys, like the reason why I'm so excited about what's going on in Bitcoin ecosystem is like there's some big moments coming. So like not only is the halving coming, which we obviously know about, which if you look at the trend of what's happened post halving over the last few years, if we followed the trend, I think I saw earlier, it's like we would hit 450,000 in Bitcoin. I think on the conservative route, it was like 250. At the high end, it was like 750. And like if we just followed it to the T, it would be like 450 a Bitcoin. So like the trends post halving with the supply reducing, the influx of capital, that's one moment. But the other major moment is Stacks is getting a massive upgrade. I had a whole on Redbeard Radio this week. I did an hour discussion with Kyle Ellicott, who's like one of the leaders in the Stacks Foundation and Bitcoin investor, etc. And so we talked a lot about this, how like not the Nakamoto upgrade. If you've played around in Stacks in the Bitcoin ecosystem, it's slow as fuck. It's just like the people that are like maxis in that ecosystem or work in that ecosystem that have to deal with that every second of every day, I would just lose my goddamn mind. But like for me, I look at that as an opportunity because if you can deal with those obstacles and barriers to engage right now, you're getting in earlier than everybody else. But April 15th to April 30th, they've put it that 2-week window will be the Nakamoto upgrade that will reduce the time for transactions down to 5 seconds. From like the 30 minutes to an hour it takes now, or 10 minutes to an hour it takes now. That's going to be a massive enhancement. And like, here's the way I think about this, guys. There is more money tied up in Bitcoin than any other chain protocol token in the world. That's like, like that is, and it has nothing to do with it. There's nothing to do with Bitcoin. Now, all of a sudden with these layer 2s, you're getting borrow and lending, you're getting DeFi, you're getting applications, smart contracts, because you can't, Bitcoin, you can't write smart contracts to without a layer 2 infrastructure. So I'm like going deep dive. Like if there's 2 ecosystems that I've been really excited about lately, it's been everything Bitcoin and its layer 2 ecosystem and its application infrastructure. And the other one that I've been really excited about is the Farcaster world and what's happening in Farcaster. Those are the 2 like relative like ecosystems that I find myself just like getting really, really excited about and wanting to get more involved in. So guys, I would totally recommend if there's things that you want to look at, the 3 tokens that I've got so far, or 4 tokens, obviously Bitcoin, I think that you should be adding to Bitcoin at every chance you get. To me, that's just like a no-brainer. Do what you want, but that's just my thought. Number 2, I think Stacks is a great play still, even though it's up. I think it's a great play. There's also a lot of up-and-coming L2s that you can look into. I'll share some more information about that next week, maybe. But there's Alex, which I think is a really powerful DeFi protocol that's really opening up a lot of things. Elliot, I'm not personally as excited about Lightning. I see your comment there, but it's not really as like an application infrastructure. It's really for speeding up transaction and payments. So it's not something I'm as excited about. But Stacks, Alex, there's the meme coin. There's like one major meme coin that I think is also super undervalued that people are buying. It's called Welsh, WELSH. That's like the leading meme coin in the Stacks ecosystem. So I think that has like its own little bonk potential because it's kind of like almost the first meme coin of the Bitcoin ecosystem, if you will. And it's been running lately, but I think it's still under a $50 million market cap. So to me, that's one that I've been also really excited about, and I put some capital to work. I use the Xverse wallet for those that are trying to figure that out. I use Xverse wallet for my Bitcoin NFTs, my Bitcoin tokens, my stack stuff, all that. But yeah, guys, I would totally spend some time diving into the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think it's really worth looking into. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
You love your Bitcoin. Yeah, let's move to EtherRock. Before we go to EtherRock, I have to say, so I'm 2 weeks with the Apple Vision Pro now, and I gotta say I can't watch basketball games without it anymore.
Stop
it. It is Drew, I'm telling you, you've never watched a Nick game like this in your life.
I went to a boxing match live with my buddy sitting front row in VR. He was in an avatar on one side of me. I was sitting here and we watched a boxing match.
It's not like I watched the Nick game last night on the moon with like all the stats with Twitter open in my bed. It was amazing.
How strenuous is it? Be honest. Like, do you get like you can only take it for so long, or can you like how long can you stand there?
I wouldn't spend like. I think.
Would you watch the whole game in there, or you watch like 15 minutes to a half hour?
No, I would watch the whole game. They were just getting killed last night. It just I only got into it at the third.
I didn't even watch the whole game I didn't even watch the whole game last night because I can't. I was like, let's just get. I almost wanted to forfeit and just let the guys rest and start the All-Star break.
Seriously, it's so bad. Oh my god,
so bad. So injured.
We're so good, but so bad right now. Yeah, dude. By the way, okay, tangent because people here understand we haven't spoken Knicks in a while. Love the trades at the half. Love the team right now. Love it. Like defense. I always love Burks. He's a bucket, right? And Bogdanovich is phenomenal.
Totally.
So good.
Yeah.
But no, Apple Vision Pro. So it's interesting. Like, it's sort of like I was talking to Caesar about it. It's like the first iPhone. Like no app store or like barely any apps in there. And it's just, it's like a glimpse into the future. You're Mr. Google Glass. Why didn't you buy it? You didn't buy this?
I have the Facebook one, the Quest one right there. And I used it maybe 6 times or 8 times. Like I just know that I know where it's going to end up.
It's Apple.
It's Apple. I get it. I get it.
But people are returning it. People are returning it. There are returns.
There's not much. It's very expensive. There's not a ton of use for it yet. There's going to be another iteration that's going to learn from all the consumer feedback from this round.
The only problem is it's very like single player mode. Like, it's like
you can't do it with anybody else.
Yeah, there's not much to do in there with other people. And like I'm sitting next to my wife, and like, what? I'm gonna watch the game in here, and she's just gonna sit there, like I'm gonna be like a schmuck. So, but it's beautifully designed, and yeah. But I could see why people like if it's not like I just think people will start like someone said that if you wanted to build an app, you had to request the beta, and you had to do all the development in their office. You couldn't actually take it out. So now that it's out there, people are going to start building stuff for it.
All right, so I think that'll take some time, but we'll see. I think it's another step in the right direction for VR and immersive worlds. Sorry, but again,
all right,
poor EtherRock, but I need to continue to run on that train. Did you see what OpenAI launched today? Dude, it's next level, mind blowing, guys. If you haven't looked at, check out OpenAI's Twitter today. They launched text to video, 60-second videos. So you can basically type in something and it'll generate a 1-minute video. It's just I can't believe how fast this is all progressing.
Sora?
What's up?
Is that Sora?
Yeah, Sora. Dude, crazy. So crazy. Like, I think it's going to change. Like, I was scrolling down Twitter today and a video popped up. I think it was like a video of like Switzerland or some shit. And I was like, I wonder if that's real. But like, can you I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. Like, we're now getting to that point where it's like the fact that they were generating videos, that video of Japan is crazy. I know someone's talking about in the comments, Sora. Yeah, like it was crazy. So like that to me was
that's cool.
Really, really cool. Powerful tool. All right, let's get back on track. EtherRock Sales. I'm curious.
You ever read EtherRock?
No, so I don't have an EtherRock.
It's a scam.
So context for some people.
It's a real Ponzi.
It's a crypto. It's like started during the CryptoPunks era. Started, I think it was back when in like.
No, I know.
So it's like it's a classic. Personally, I think I'm not a fan of it. It just sold this week they're expecting it's on Sotheby's right now, which I think is a little bit of ridiculousness. Like, it's not what I believe should be on Sotheby's representing Web3. Listen, there's 2 ways to think about it. I'm curious your opinion is. Like, I think I think it's like mocking the Web3 space in a way. I don't love that I don't love that that's one of the most valued assets. It's going for $600,000 to $800,000 on auction in Sotheby's right now. There's only 100 of them. Number 46 just sold on February 12th for $496,000. A CryptoPunk, don't get me wrong, CryptoPunk, there's 10,000. It's a very different beast. And CryptoPunks are now worth, are they up to 200,000 now? I believe it's like 200K. It's 60
What?
ETH, 60 ETH times 2,800. What is that?
180.
So we're almost at $200,000 for a CryptoPunk right now, and there's 10,000 of them. So like that's a much bigger market cap. But I just think that like there's something, to me, CryptoPunks represent the beginning of the digital art revolution.
160 right now.
160.
57 ETH.
Like CryptoPunks are pixelated. They represent one of the early styles of art that like began the NFT and digital art movement. I think that like EtherRocks were almost more of a mockery that became the pet rock, that became this like influencer-led collection. It just doesn't resonate with me. I think I like things that I think resonate more artistically, even though we get kind of mocked about like, is it art, or like nobody cares about the art in Web3. Like I do personally. So like for me, it just doesn't really resonate. I don't know. What is your thoughts on the EtherRock?
I don't know. I went to an EtherRock party. Meltum's like a big fan of Ether. I think she owns one. I feel like you like EtherRock if you own an EtherRock.
Totally. But like, is there like a community really?
I think so. I think there's like a Telegram. I think there's like it's like a very like OG group of people. But it is only as valuable as they think it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I feel like it's.
I don't love that it's representing us on Sotheby's personally, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's talk.
It is what it is, and that's like.
Yeah. Starknet. So Starknet is really, to me, Starknet was a really interesting. I'll give you my one quick takeaway from it. Starknet, for those that don't know, Starknet is like a much awaited airdrop of their Stark tokens is launching next week. This week they kind of laid out, everyone that's been participating in their ecosystem, how are they going to be doing the distribution? Who was rewarded? There was this viral thing about, checking your Starknet thing, whatever. Personally, I don't even know if I got an airdrop, or if I'm even if I get anything. I'm not really active in Starknet ecosystem at all. I don't even know what wallet you use. Like, I don't know if you know anything about the infrastructure or the ecosystem much. But what I think is really interesting, and this is what's fascinating, there's two different projects we can use as an example. There's Starknet, and then there's Blast. Blast has built nothing, but told everybody you're going to get lots of yield. And they raised, everyone, I don't know how much money's been dumped in there, but hundreds of millions of dollars of TVL or whatever it is now. Everyone's like, you're going to get yield. Here's what you go. It's the place for passive income. Then you have Starknet, which is really one of the more attractive ecosystems for developers. I know many developers that are like very excited about what's gone on in Starknet, that are building things. It's been building for 6 years. They reward contributions. I don't give a fuck if you don't care. They're a very technical group. I think they get the power of community, but the power of the community that they care about are builders and contributors. And these farmers, they're like, fuck off. I don't care. But they're like, but we're the ones that did all this stuff on your shit. And people are pissed off because I did all this work farming your token, and I didn't have 0.005 Ethereum in my wallet, and that was a criteria. So they're pissed off. And I'm just like, if you don't have 0.005 in your wallet, what are you doing here? What are you contributing? What are you participating in? It's an ecosystem built of circulating currency. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean,
it's just very the whole ecosystem of these farmers. It's like sucking blood. It's like mosquitoes a little bit. It somewhat bothers me. And they're just and I think it's going to backfire on them, because this community has very loud voices of people that don't really have as much contribution. The people that contribute the least are the loudest. The people that contribute the most are the quietest, unfortunately. But the builders in their community are struggling to overcome this loud, I don't know if it's a majority or minority of people that wanted what they think they deserved. And because everyone is I deserve passive income for every fucking thing I do. I don't know. What is your thoughts? It bothered me.
I think we'll find out if how important. I mean, listen, it's hard to fade, the flippers and the speculators. You need them in this space. This is like part of the thing. And so they're saying, okay, we're going to reward our we're going to reward the people who
really
are
contribute.
Really contributing versus sort of anyone. And so, I think we'll find out how important each one of those things are. I think they're a good public test of if any of this, if you can fade flippers and still do well.
So
if you can fade speculators.
I think this it signals an unfortunate reality that we live in, which is people care more about being passive income than technical prowess and good technical advancements in the space. And
is that a surprise to you?
No, it's just unfortunate. It's just I just think it's unfortunate a little bit. It bothers me that in a space where people are still complaining every day that it's too hard for people to use, but then when people make technical advancements, they're not celebrated and rewarded. It's a very counterintuitive ecosystem for this. But listen, a lot of people, I'm seeing in the comments, some people are all about it. And they care more about, us catering to the masses that want to earn, for, trying to figure out honestly, it almost looks like a formula to figure out how do you do the least and make the most. And that's almost what everyone's spending their time on. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way as someone who I believe in this space so much. I invest in it. I work on it. I circulate, I reinvest in it. I build in it. For someone that I feel I want to see it progress to and reach a lot of the ambitions it wants to reach. I just think that there's a lot of parasites to the industry and it sucks, but it's also what feeds the industry. So I don't know. I don't know how you make sense of that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It'll be a good test to see. But I think it's hard when you're dealing with programmable money. This is the expectation people have is to make money. So that's the game we play. So all right, let's talk Pixelmon Tokenomics. Have you dug into that? I have not dug into it.
Just a little bit. They basically, they have the Mon token. So I haven't really played around with Pixelmon much. Have you played with the game, or have you seen it? Are you familiar with what's going on over there?
I know I know generally what's going on, but I have not played the.
So basically, there's a billion tokens coming from. There's a billion token fixed supply. 36% is for the community. 30% went to the community claim. 6% went for community pre-sale. 29% is an ecosystem fund, which I think is really interesting. And then strategic growth, 13% is for strategy. The bulk of it is going to the community, which is great. I think people are happy with that and positive. The NFTs have gone up this week. So Pixelmon NFTs are up about 10% from what I saw. They're about 1.5 ETH, something in that range. There's a lot of different social quests that you can do to participate in the Mon protocol. Listen, I think it's another avenue where I think they're building some ambitious infrastructure for the gaming ecosystem. I hope it's successful because I think that they're doing some really interesting stuff. I think they're not just releasing a game; they're releasing IP, they're releasing infrastructure. There's a lot going on there. So they're launching. I think they're launching on Immutables ZK EVM blockchain. So I think that's really interesting. This is one of the major projects. This Pixelmon started in 2022, generated $70 million on their sale. Kind of flopped and then came back and then was acquired and then raised an $8 million. I mean, it's been all over the place. They've had some kind of journey. So we'll see. I mean, it's there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of public perception, negative and positive. I don't have too strong of opinion on it. I think it'll be interesting to see, and we'll kind of go from there. But I don't know if anybody else has a strong opinion on Pixelmon, but for me, kind of like I'm curious to see what happens.
I just love Kevin. That's my
Kevin.
contribution. I love Kevin. Kevin's iconic.
Yeah.
All right. Pandora and ERC 404. Have you played around with this at all? Have you seen it? Have you talked about to anyone? It's pretty interesting stuff.
Tell me about what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's the old fractional team, right? Like what's his face? Was it Adam? Not Adam. Andy. So it's the old fractional team, and it's basically, from my understanding, it is taking NFTs and sort of fractionalizing them. So like marrying ERC20s into like 721s. Now, what that means is it gives just a lot more liquidity. And I don't think it's open and available for everyone yet. I think only a few collections could launch on it, but it's a new standard. And yeah, I mean, they're trying to, I think, add a layer of liquidity to the liquidity, which I guess is interesting. But I don't know, it just adds another speculative thing into the speculative thing.
What's the deal with their NFTs? Why are they so expensive? Like the NFTs are, I think the floor price was like over 10 ETH. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I think partially because it was like the first to use it. But I don't know all the specifics on that. I don't know why it ran so much. I think
one thing that is interesting about it is that you can buy the ERC 404 tokens on either a DEX, like a decentralized exchange, or an NFT marketplace, which wasn't possible before. Like you couldn't buy an NFT on a DEX. You had to buy it on an NFT marketplace. So I think that's one of the things that people are finding that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing is you don't need to really sell it because you can get liquidity other ways. I think that and I still need to like dig in, and I think people like it needs to launch with more things to see how people are actually using it. But my understanding was you didn't need to actually sell it because you could just sell pieces of it because it's fractionalized.
Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, also like there's so many like fractionalization laws in this country that make it like tricky. So I don't know how they're doing it, but like you're not really like fractionalizing ownership of something is a security. Like there's no.
It looks like there are other. I'm reading a little bit about it now. It looks like there is other projects that have now that are now joining, that are using the ERC 404 token standard, and they're starting to succeed. There's Defrogs, Rug, Monarch, MNRCH, and Froggy's Friends Tadpole.
By the way, I think was it Dingling that tweeted out, or somebody said like anyone who like rugged, they can come back and just use this thing and then like drive up the value. I don't know. I don't
know. But it seems like basically what they're saying is that it merges the ERC20 and the ERC 721 standards to facilitate fractional NFT ownership. So it employs ERC20 for the divisible shares and ERC 721 for each of those divisible shares being unique NFTs. So it creates this like intermediary free trading of NFT fractions and creates a standard for inherent fractionalization, which in theory is, again, another interesting advancement in thinking about how does that create new utility for NFTs? How does that create new DeFi mechanisms? I mean, I think it's an interesting experiment. I think, I was actually just, what I was talking about with the Bitcoin group is like, there's like 12 or 14 different token standard experiments happening, from like ordinals to BRC20s to, EVM compatibles. Like there's just so many. I think like we need to do some experimentation with token standards. I think that's an important, it's an important area for us to like figure out, considering the fact that our whole entire infrastructure is built on token economies and token networks. So I'm all for the experimentation here. I think that fractionalization has found challenges so far. It's not, I don't know if people want to own, for some reason, it's funny, we own fractional shares of companies, obviously when we buy stock.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you own a piece of, you don't own a whole Apple computer, you're owning a stock.
Yeah, but it's a security. Like
when you think about NFTs, I think people struggle with the idea of owning a fraction of an NFT. I think there's a little bit of it's like, do I own the fucking art or do I not own the art? Do I own the collectible or do I not own the collectible? Like, do I, there's an element of, some level of like hard to like kind of make those two things kind of make sense,
Yeah.
Like it's already this one thing that's investable. It's buying now. It's like an investable of an investable, but you only own a piece of it, and then you have no control over how it. I don't know. I find it to be a little bit complex, but again, I think it's a worthwhile experiment for sure.
Yeah. No, we'll see. We'll see if I feel like take like a project, like buy an old project and like load it up onto the ERC 404 and see like if you can bring it back to life. It could be interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually not a bad idea. All right. Truth with AJT. I don't have much for people today except that like right now it's just heads down. We got before the end of the month, you'll know more, but right now we're just sort of heads down. I got some cool stuff to show at the end of the month though, so I'm really excited. I saw some stuff today that blew my mind, so I'm excited. Like we're very close to some things. But yeah, I'm not really a buyer right now of stuff. I mean, I'm a waster of money in a lot of ways, but I'm not like actively on the hunt for anything.
What do you mean?
Like I'm not like actively buying like meme coins and tokens like here and there. Like obviously I bought like the Copium stuff and like did very poorly on that so far, but hopefully that turns around. But no, my like I'm looking back, like the last thing I was looking at my OpenSea, and like the last activity I had was I got the freaking like the actual last thing I did was like a month ago, and it was the Hal Froggy bobblehead from Nakamigos. Like that was 29 days ago.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've done actually nothing since then.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm sort of on the sidelines a little bit right now. I have mostly in tokens, which I guess is doing the best, like ETH and Sol and this and that. But I just don't have enough time to pay attention. So I don't have any of that. But
all right, I'll go through a couple things on my end. I guess we'll do the Degen with Drew. So some things that I've recently got. I guess it all kind of correlates to where I'm spending my time. So I bought this NFT called Farcats, which is I guess seems to be like the Farcaster mascot is what they call it. Again, I'm just super bullish on Farcaster. I guess we could talk about that for a little bit. I think that Farcaster, I'm spending a lot more. It's the first time I've had a social network eat into my Twitter time.
Really?
Totally. We should get Dan Romero on the show. Great call for. I just saw that comment. Yes, definitely. But I'm really excited about what I'm seeing there. I think that's the. It's like for me, it's like so cool because it's basically Twitter, but completely focused on like all things builders and Web3 and blockchain and early adopters, and like it's just like I feel like it's a group of people that are interested in a lot of the same things that I am in this early adoption phase. And I
Drew,
think
what's your handle? Are you Drew Austin?
Yeah, Drew Austin. And I think that the frames is what really opened the idea and opened the world up to understanding what decentralized, what it means to build decentralized social on top of this Farcaster network. And what's so powerful about frames is like all the interoperability. So like Base has frames, Solana has frames, Ethereum has frames, Optimism has frames. Like there's just like you could do so many things by building mini apps almost inside of like a post, and it can connect to so many different, like you'll eventually be able to do trading and swaps. You can mint NFTs, you can engage in people's apps, there's just like a wild amount of possibilities. Anyone who wants to drop in the comments your Farcaster handle, drop it in so we can all follow each other and do that. I'm at Drew Austin, same as Twitter, so feel free to follow me there.
I'm not the same as Twitter because I missed out. I'm at Taub.
Yeah,
missed out at AJT. My nemesis, who owns AJT.eth and now AJT on Farcaster, is.
And for those listening in different places, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, whatever, when I say comments, the commenting hub for us is on YouTube. So we're live on YouTube. That's where everyone's kind of joining in the comments. So if you want to join the discussion, we're most visible there, but everywhere else we just kind of keep track of. So going back to like where I'm spending my time, Farcaster. I think there's a lot happening there. I think everyone should be paying attention to it. The channels are interesting. The frames are interesting. I think it's worth just like engaging there and starting to get familiar with it. There's also really cool infrastructure. I'm looking at it from a venture perspective. I'm looking at a really cool infrastructure company that's building to enable it easier to build applications on top of the social graph. There's just a lot of really fascinating stuff happening there. So that's like where I'm spending some time, and that's like my like kind of eating into my Twitter time. In terms of where I'm spending, NFTs and crypto, again, I'm spending a lot of time on the figuring out like staking. I've been like, kind of leaning into getting, I'm in one of those modes where I start to get a little bit more degen. So I start to leverage a little bit because I'm just so like, I'm in one of those modes where it's like, fuck, I just need as much crypto as I can get my hands on right now. So I'm like, I'm leveraging DeFi.
How many people are making the same mistakes from the last run? Everyone?
It's like, yeah, probably. But like, I guess like, you take your learnings. Like I know the way I'm approaching it is much shorter stints of borrowing lens, more concrete purchasing decisions. I'm also like, I'm so bullish on Bitcoin right now. I just like
buying every NBA Top Shot season 1 that you could find.
I'm buying all my season 1 in Cosmics and Top Shot. I'm accumulating the assets. Like my biggest positions are Punks, Top Shot, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, like the major players. And then what I'm trying to do is go deeper into these ecosystems once I find that I'm interested in an ecosystem. So it's like within the Bitcoin ecosystem, I'm going into the layer 2s and the application layer. Within Farcaster, I'm trying to look into who's building and what they're building on in this ecosystem, what tokens are going to be correlated to it, etc. The same thing I did with Solana with getting experience in the meme coins. I'm also doing a lot of like playing around with like kind of like what's it called? It's restaking. So like utilizing a staking token to then be able to provide additional staking capacity to other protocols while using the stake token so they can leverage the security of Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever. So restaking, I think, is an interesting thing to be looking into, guys. And I'm also spending a lot of time in the DePIN infrastructure. So like I've gotten tokens like Honey and Hive Mapper, and there's a couple other new ones. Like I just started playing with Grass. If you guys need a Grass, if you guys need a, oh, that's Elliot. It's a Warp. It's called Warpcast. Warpcast. It's in the App Store. It's a decentralized social network, kind of like a merge of Twitter and Reddit. There's so much interesting stuff happening right now because we're all starting.
By the way, it's Warpcast with a P.
Yeah, Warp, WARP. So there's just a lot of right now, like, you see optimism accelerating a ton of different games and ecosystems. You see base coming into play for a lot of development. So because the infrastructure is maturing, we're now able to start to experience different types of applications we couldn't experience on Ethereum and Bitcoin during the first waves because gas fees were too high. So yeah. I'm having a lot more fun with DeFi and shit and all that kind of stuff.
I think what's going to happen this time around, and we started to see hints of it, but I don't think we've seen it real yet, is like there's going to be a consumer product that is going to have crypto as part of it that is going to go mainstream. And so I think like, and that's what things like Base does. Like I think Friendtech was a good candidate early on. I'm not sure what's going on with them now, but I think there was a good candidate for the first month or two where like, but still that had too much crypto for the initial onboarding that didn't sort of fully work. I think what is it called? Not Warpcast. What was the thing called?
Which one?
Farcaster? Farcaster, yeah. I think Farcaster is like has potential, but I remember the onboarding when I did it. Like my mom's not doing that, right? Like my wife's not doing that. So like it's still going to be very like siloed. I think there's going to be some like proper consumer products that have crypto somehow associated with it that will do well in this run, and that company is going to be really, really valuable, like really valuable.
Definitely, not a doubt.
All right, let's keep moving. You buy anything? You hit on any of your Peppins yet? Or are you still
I did. I hit. Yeah. So, but basically, by the way, so our
two
DAO
day,
got a
two day,
our Warwick DAO got the one of one from
from the latest?
no, the one before it.
Oh,
I wouldn't have.
damn.
I don't know if I would have submitted it personally to that one because I didn't think there was enough demand. I would have wanted it on the most recent one, but I did get one of the 40 editions of the recent one. I think it's pretty fucking awesome.
Nice.
It's really, really cool. Act, I think it is, of the Pep Drop. So yeah, I got that one. I'm still locked and loaded. Kind of waiting to see what happens, but definitely been interesting. It popped on the Act drop. It's really cool because what I think he's doing right now is like almost creating this like network of like the top tier artists that that are in Web3 space that can like be part of this one drop, and they become this like almost museum collection of great artists that are participating in this one meme concept. I think what he's doing is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, but my thesis for Pepin is played out exactly how I said it would be.
I think it's too early.
No, because it's not. It once the revealed ones, you know what the crossing the chasm was? Chasm, whatever, was crossing the Rubicon. I don't know. Once it passed the point where the floor of Opepins was not an unrevealed was when it changed. When you started to see some of the drops be under, it made people's brain realize that that they can like miss out.
Yeah.
If they connect. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah. I see a question from Flooftopia. What are your thoughts on a project that has optional Web3 integrations? Do you think that will be the project to bring mainstream adoption? I think the project that's going to bring mainstream adoption to me is a Web2 property that has massive following that decides to open up the floodgates to Web3. Like, I always say this example because I think it's an easy one to understand. If Grand Theft Auto says, you know what, our next game we're going to put on chain. When you steal a car, you can go sell it on OpenSea or wherever else. That's going to be the thing that unlocks the next wave of Web3 and becomes the floodgate opener, because people need a reason to go there. And if you look at history, it's not been any Web2, it's not been a native Web3 experience that's brought people here. The thing that brought people here was NBA Top Shot. That was the first major NFT driver of adoption of Web3. And that was the first one. And there really hasn't been another one since that's really come in as an IP and leaned in an effective, strong way. So I think I'm waiting for one of the big gaming companies to come in and say, hey, here's the path. And we haven't seen that yet. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. We got some time. Let's skip to the Arsonic. I don't really talk too much. Arsonic dropped the Gen Art Pebbles. I love Arsonic. He's the guy who did the Sergeant Pepe drop. Not much to say there, but I think it was really interesting. Something I was paying attention to. One thing that came up today that I think is a fun discussion is Confounders exit. I'm loving Casper too. When Confounders exit. So there was like, do you remember what was the project?
It was a project, I think, on Solana launched, and then like 8 days later, the guy's like, I'm done. And then also Pablo Stanley with Robotos closed up shop this week. And I think the general question is, it feels like in this space, you can't stop and start anew. Like you in startup space, right? You and I come from tech space. You iterate. If it doesn't work out, you close up shop, you start something new, etc. And in this space, it feels like you're an indentured servant for the rest of your life for the thing, right? And like someone I heard a delivery slave. I don't know if that might be a delivery slave. And and like I get when you're like trying to build something and you like, and whether it also doesn't matter what you can, like if you came out and you dropped something and it was a $2 mint and it goes and runs up to $1,000 per, people buy it, then they have different expectations versus the people who minted it for $2. And then if people buy it for higher or for less, everyone has different expectations on you. Now, there's a founder I know who started something. He delivered every single thing on his roadmap. literally one of the few that could say they
Knights of
delivered every
Degen,
single thing.
Knights of Degen executed
And
everything that we were to do.
but that didn't mean that price was going to go up.
Nope,
And
that's
so when you deliver everything and then you have someone new who buys it, they have new expectations of what you need to do to make the thing worth anything. And so I think the question people should be asking is like, and that's like beyond the scope of what we're really talking about, which is
it's basically saying if you don't find product market fit, should you be able to move on? And it's like, and that's really what it comes down to. Some of these projects do not find product market fit, most likely because the business model changed. It used to be about royalties. Royalties got rid of. That means the business changed, and a lot of people have struggled to figure out how to monetize these projects that were built during a certain period.
The flip side to that, the other side is that the people who bought it are like, well, you sold something or you made money in royalties or something, and so you work for me now. Like that's their mindset, right? Like
they think they're investors, not customers.
Well, that's a bigger problem, which is like like legally you're not an investor because it's not a security. So you're really a consumer, but you can't really, no company, no project will tell you you're a consumer. So they will call you a collector. And
also, if you're a token holder, you're part of a distributed ownership group, which actually does jobs of governance, and so it is very gray, dude. Like there's
clear no. It's definitely gray. It's definitely gray, and you make like what you call investments, but you're not an investor. So it's like it's tricky. And as a team, you can't really say like, oh, this is what I'm going to do is going to make you money, because then you're going to get delisted from OpenSea. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's a very nuanced game, and there's that. But there's a lot of teams that have knowingly played that up, right? Like they've knowingly been like, we're going to try to, provide value and like sort of coded as like, we're going to try to make, price go up. And so it's tricky. I mean, I think that on one hand, if you've taken in money, right, and you've gotten paid, whether it's through a primary sale or secondaries, but more so primary sale, because secondaries is a byproduct of success, where primary sales is literally like taking money actually from people, right? Like you actually owe it to them to go and take a real shot at it. So like
totally
going 8 days and then you being like, I'm done, right? Unless it's like a founder breakup and one person's out and one person's continuing or something, that seems to me pretty shitty. Like as a I'm not a holder of any of that stuff. But if you're going to go and you're going to if you like in this specific situation, they sold out 10,000 NFTs and they made a ton of money, and then they quit within a week, right? Like that to me is what people should be calling a rug, versus people like trying to make it work, like people trying to make their project work. Now, ultimately it may not work out, but like there's like it's a spectrum, right? There's like one level, which is like we mint out and then the Discord disappears, right? And then like it's gone, the Discord's gone, the Twitter account doesn't exist anymore, and they like poof, they're gone.
This is my saying of being a rug and failing are very different things.
Yeah, but they've sort of overlapped in the
vernacular.
In the vernacular, and that
that's dangerous.
Like I've always argued this. So like you're putting a bad situation and making it worse, because you've got a team that made like probably 90% of the money they're ever going to make in the first 24 to 48 hours, and then you're putting sort of undue pressure that like, why are they going to want to have to deal with that if they're like, this is it? So I don't know. I just I think there's levels to this, and I think that like if it's truly like I'm disappearing or I'm leaving or
I mean,
whatever after filling
the
out.
dude in the situation of Teddy's, like, he came out and said, like, he sold 10,000 FTs, pulled in a bunch of money, like, we're gonna, he's like, I'm committed on working on this, and then a couple of days later was like, yeah, I'm not the guy for this, I'm giving it to somebody else. Like, that is a load of crap. That's like, you spent a week on this shit, like, dude, you spend a year or two, like any other fucking startup, grinding away, blood, sweat, and tears of experimentation, dealing with community, dealing with sales, investors, product launches, and you eventually reach a conclusion that you're not able to reach the goals that you have. Then, like, fuck, man. Then like, you have the right to decide whatever you need to decide is best for you, your team, and everybody else who's putting in their heart into this. But, like, after a week, that guy he should have to give back that money. That's stealing. It's a rub.
Yeah, that feels like that's actually yeah. And apparently they launched on the Magic Eden launchpad, so I'm sure Magic Eden's pissed because that's like they're sort of like going to bat for them. And that's the problem of going to bat. Like, personally, I feel like going to bat, it's weird because it's like in
you got to diligence.
Yeah, well, in startup world, you will introduce friends to other investors and like they'll go and decide if they want to invest. I feel like in NFT land, like the immutable aspect, sometimes the anonymous aspect, it leads to you may have done all your stuff and then something fucks up and then not only are you losing money, but everyone you told the thing about is losing money. I think the only way to like solve that is just don't tell anyone what to do, just tell them what you're doing and then let them do whatever they want, because I feel like otherwise they just blame you for for whatever it is. So I think I don't know, it's all tricky stuff.
Yeah, it's very true.
You want to go into the last thing? I know we're about to be over time.
Yeah, about to be over time. But last thing quickly, guys, Solana Saga phone did 100,000 pre-orders. I, for one, I got the first one. I'm not opening it. For me, it's like just a collector's item. I don't really know what else fucking do with it. It seemed like something that was too much for me to open and deal with. So I just figure I'll hold it as a collector's item for now, keeping it sealed up. But there's a low supply for the sealed phones, and I'm excited to keep it. But I'm really excited that Solana's phone is actually getting some adoption and traction, and that they're going to continue to advance this, because I think there's a real value in thinking about how blockchain integrated at the hardware level can advance this space. And I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle. So it's the same reason why I think that AI devices natively to the hardware is going to be really interesting. So, when we have to marry new technology and need to think about where the hardware and Apple is not friendly to anything that we want to do in Web3. So, like, I'm hoping things like the Solana phone continue to accelerate adoption. Hopefully, I'm hoping that it's not just, and I don't know, for people that have used the Solana phone, I hope it's not only like Solana centric. I hope it's more open to like Web3 itself. I get that if it's Solana, it's a Solana Saga, so it should be more Solana focused. But again, I just want openness, like in this kind of market. Even though I didn't want that in the first world, like I never went to Android, I went to iPhone because I just thought it was so much better and so much more organized experience. In this world, native to what we're trying to accomplish here is an open ecosystem. So I'm hoping that that's something that thrives and survives. But I look at my first one as like an NFT, 20,000 supply. There's not going to be many of them. Some of them are getting burned already by opening them. So I'm keeping the limited edition exclusive one to myself.
You and all your packs.
Yeah, my packs.
Added to
I'm a collector. I am a collector at heart.
You are.
So yeah. Has anyone really used? Have you seen the experience of the Solana phone? Like, I haven't really played with it yet. Have you played with it?
I didn't get one.
Oh, okay.
How much do they go? How much do they go for?
Jackie, you're in the comments. Did you open up any of yours? Did you play with any of yours? I know you bought a few of them. You sold a few. Did you open up any? Did you keep any to like play with, or just no, none? Everything's collect. He sold it. He flipped and kept sealed. So same thing I'm doing. But yeah, Elliot says he's been using the Helium network for his work, which is cool. Elliot, I dropped my link to Grass, which is supposedly a new one that just opened, similar to kind of like a new version of Helium, not Helium, but different. This is more about unused bandwidth. So I haven't really messed around with Helium much, but I do want to. It's cool. It's like supposedly it's paying for your, kind of cell phone bill by just using Helium. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think there's going to be a lot more of those types of experiences That's why it's really interesting to the DePIN ecosystem is a super fascinating one. You know, I'll do a session one of these days on what's going on in the DePIN ecosystem, because like from an investor perspective, I get really excited about what's happening there. But yeah, that's it for me, guys.
All right. Appreciate everyone coming. We'll be back next Thursday. Let's rock and roll. It's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Big February.
All right. Thanks everybody. Big lots going on.
See ya.
See you.